Did you know that clogged arteries don't just happen because of fatty foods, but also because of chronic inflammation and hidden plaque buildup that starts years before any symptoms appear? Millions of people walk around with narrowing arteries and rising blood pressure without even realizing it until it's too late. The truth is, your arteries can slowly harden and stiffen from everyday habits, like too much sugar, processed oils, or even lack of certain nutrients that keep blood vessels flexible and clean. Here's the good news: nature already provides powerful ingredients that can help clear those blockages and support healthy blood flow. These ingredients don't come from fancy pills or expensive treatments, but from simple, fresh juices that you can make right in your kitchen. When consumed regularly, they help lower bad cholesterol, dissolve plaque, reduce inflammation, and even regulate blood pressure naturally. What's even more surprising is that these juices don't just help your heart. They can improve energy, skin health, and brain function because of how well they boost circulation and oxygen delivery throughout the body. People who drink them regularly often notice their blood pressure readings improving within weeks, along with better stamina and mental clarity. In this video, we'll explore the top 5 juices that can help remove clogged arteries and control blood pressure. Each of these juices is backed by science, loaded with nutrients, and easy to prepare. You might already have some of them sitting in your kitchen right now. Wait until you hear about number 3. It's been shown to improve artery flexibility and blood pressure more effectively than some prescription medications. Before we dive in, let me ask, do you already drink any kind of fresh juice daily? And what's your main concern? High blood pressure, cholesterol, or poor circulation? Share your answer in the comments, because the tips we'll discuss can help no matter which issue you're trying to fix. Now let's begin with number 1. Number 1, beetroot juice. Beetroot juice is one of the simplest drinks you can add to your day if your goal is to help lower blood pressure and support healthier blood flow. The active ingredient people talk about is inorganic nitrate. When you drink beet juice, that nitrate is turned first by bacteria in the mouth and then in the body, into nitrite and then into nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is what relaxes the muscles in the walls of blood vessels. Relaxed vessels mean lower resistance for the heart to pump against, and that shows up as lower blood pressure on the cuff. In practical terms, many studies and trials show that a single dose of nitrate-rich beetroot juice can cut systolic blood pressure by several millimeters of mercury within hours, and regular daily intake can keep a lower average reading in people with high blood pressure. That drop matters. Even a 3 to 5 millimeter of mercury fall in systolic pressure reduces the chance of stroke and heart attack when measured across a population. Beetroot juice also helps the inner lining of blood vessels, the endothelium, work better. A healthier endothelium is less likely to let bad processes start that lead to plaque sticking to the walls. That means beet juice acts more on the function of arteries than directly scraping away existing plaque. For someone who wants results that are real but realistic, expect changes in how your vessels behave within days and measurable improvements in markers of blood flow when the juice is used for weeks to months. How to use it in a safe, practical way. Most clinical studies use somewhere between 70 to 500 milliliters of beetroot juice daily, with many trials finding effects in the 250 to 300 milliliters range. If you've never had beet juice before, start with a small serving, 70 to 100 milliliters, to check tolerance, because it can upset some people's stomachs. Expect bituria, pink or red urine, for a day or 2. It looks dramatic but is harmless. Don't mix it blindly with medications. Because beetroot increases nitric oxide, it may amplify the effect of blood pressure drugs and cause readings to fall more than expected. If you're on nitrates already, rare outside specific heart conditions, or on powerful antihypertensives, ask your clinician. People with a history of kidney stones should be cautious because beets are relatively high in oxalates. Also, concentrated commercial shots sometimes contain very high nitrate doses. If you use those, reduce overall intake and avoid multiple nitrate sources in the same day. Pairing matters. Beetroot juice works best when you use it with other healthy habits. Reduce salt intake, weight control, regular aerobic activity, and not smoking. If you expect beetroot alone to clean out blocked arteries, that's not accurate. What it does reliably is improve vessel dilation, lower blood pressure by a clinically meaningful amount for many people, and reduce markers of arterial stress. Over months, these changes lower the rate at which plaque grows and reduce the chance of acute events. For most people who want to add beetroot to their routine, a practical daily plan is a morning shot or a 200 to 300 milliliter serving with breakfast, or on days you exercise, take it an hour before activity because the improved blood flow can also help performance. If you have chronic kidney issues, kidney stones, or take multiple drugs, get medical clearance first. For the general adult population with high blood pressure and no complex medical issues, beetroot is an effective, low-cost, food-based option that supports blood pressure control and vessel function. Number 2, pomegranate juice. Pomegranate juice is often recommended as a heart-friendly beverage, and for good reasons you can see clearly when you break down what it does. The juice is dense in antioxidants and polyphenols. Those compounds reduce oxidative stress in the bloodstream, and oxidative stress is a key chemical process that makes LDL cholesterol more likely to become the kind that sticks to artery walls. When LDL is less oxidized, it's less likely to feed plaque formation. Regular pomegranate juice intake has been linked in several reports to lower markers of LDL oxidation, reduced carotid artery thickening in some cohorts, and modest drops in systolic blood pressure. The effect on blood pressure is usually small per person, often a few millimeters of mercury, but that small drop, when sustained across months, can lower cardiovascular risk. One feature that makes pomegranate different from some other fruit juices is the degree of antioxidant activity people measure in the lab. The juice ranks high, and that antioxidant load taken consistently helps protect the vessel lining from damage and inflammation. How to use pomegranate juice in a practical plan. Pick 100% pure juice with no added sugar. Many commercial pomegranate drinks are watered down and sweetened, which cancels much of the benefit. Typical trial amounts range from about 150 to 250 milliliters a day, when researchers test effects over weeks to months. If you don't like the straight taste, dilute the juice with water or blend pomegranate arils into a small smoothie that keeps the fiber. The benefits show up when the juice is part of a pattern. Replace sugary sodas or sweeten fruit drinks with pomegranate, reduce processed food, and keep salt moderate. Pomegranate also interacts with some drugs processed by liver enzymes. That's a technical detail, but important if you take medications with narrow dosing windows. If you're on blood thinners or drugs that your clinician monitors closely, check with a pharmacist before you adopt daily pomegranate juice. Expectations and safety. You won't see a visible removal of plaque after drinking pomegranate for a week. What you will likely see over months is improvement in blood biomarkers like reduced oxidized LDL and a small, helpful fall in blood pressure. Those changes slow the progression of arterial narrowing and lower risk. Side effects are uncommon. The main practical downside is the sugar load. Pomegranate contains natural sugar, and large daily portions will increase calorie intake. For people with diabetes or those watching calories, use smaller servings or combine the juice with fiber-rich food to blunt sugar spikes. In short, pomegranate juice is useful as a daily protective drink for arterial health and blood pressure control when used sensibly, without added sugars and with medical advice if you take interacting medications. Number 3, tomato juice, lycopene-rich. Tomato juice brings two things you want for arteries, lycopene and potassium. Lycopene is a carotenoid, the red pigment in tomatoes, and it works as an antioxidant that helps stop LDL cholesterol from becoming the oxidized form that promotes plaque. Potassium helps the body get rid of extra sodium and relaxes blood vessels, which lowers blood pressure. Combined, these two effects make regular tomato consumption, including a daily cup of tomato juice, a useful step for people who want to lower the chemical drivers of plaque and control blood pressure. Large observational studies that follow people over years show an association between higher tomato intake and lower blood pressure and lower stroke risk. Controlled feeding studies and intervention trials show improvements in LDL oxidation and sometimes small reductions in LDL level after regular tomato product intake. How to use tomato juice effectively. Buy or make 100% tomato juice with low or no added salt. Commercial tomato juice is often high in sodium. That's the #1 reason store-bought versions can hurt more than help for blood pressure. Make your own by blending ripe tomatoes and straining if you want a smoother drink, and season lightly with herbs rather than salt. A typical useful serving is 1 cup, about 240 milliliters daily, or include tomato products across the day. Fresh tomatoes, sauces, soups, to reach a similar intake. Lycopene is more available in cooked tomato products and when consumed with a small amount of fat, so tomato sauce or soups can sometimes deliver lycopene more effectively than raw juice alone. 4, green leafy juice, spinach, kale, celery blends. Green leafy juices are potent because they pack nitrates, potassium, magnesium, and a wide range of plant compounds into a small volume. The nitrate story again is important. Leafy greens supply dietary nitrate that your body converts into nitric oxide, which relaxes blood vessels and lowers blood pressure. Trials testing concentrated green leaf or mixed vegetable drinks show modest falls in resting blood pressure and improvements in measures of vascular health, especially when these juices are part of a broader increase in vegetable intake. Besides nitrates, the potassium and magnesium in greens help maintain normal blood pressure by balancing sodium and supporting muscle and nerve function in vessel walls. How to prepare and use green juices safely and well. Use a mix rather than only one vegetable to avoid excess of any single compound. For example, don't drink extremely large daily amounts of spinach for extended periods without rotation because of oxalate load. A common practical approach is to blend or juice a handful of spinach or kale with cucumber, celery, a small apple for taste, and a splash of lemon. If you juice, keep the serving around 200 to 300 milliliters. If you blend into a smoothie with fiber, you get the added benefit of slower sugar absorption. If you take antihypertensive medications, monitor your blood pressure during the first weeks you add concentrated greens because the nitrate effect can add to drug action. If you have kidney disease, check potassium and oxalate limits with your clinician. What to expect? Improvements in home blood pressure readings in the order of a few millimeters of mercury within days for some people, and better endothelial function in studies that follow people for weeks. Green juices are not a single cure, but they are a strong food-based way to support the same biological pathway targeted by some medical therapies, improving nitric oxide availability. Paired with exercise and reduced salt, leaf-based juices help reduce the progression of arterial stiffness and lower the risk that plaques will trigger events. Use them as part of a varied vegetable intake rather than as a sole miracle drink. Rotate ingredients and keep portions sensible. 5, pure 100% orange or citrus blend juice, hesperidin and flavonoids. Pure orange juice contains flavonoids, mainly hesperidin, along with vitamin C, folate, and potassium. Hesperidin appears to help the small vessels and improve endothelial function. Several human trials have tested regular orange juice or hesperidin-enriched orange juice and found small but measurable improvements in systolic blood pressure and in markers that reflect arterial function. The size of the effect varies, and it depends on dose, the health of the person, and whether the juice replaces a less healthy drink. One practical takeaway is that a small glass of 100% orange juice a day, about 120 to 200 milliliters, can deliver beneficial flavonoids without a large calorie load, especially if you use it to replace sweetened beverages. How to use orange juice smartly. Choose juice with no added sugars and keep the portion to a single small glass daily. Because hesperidin can be one active factor, processed orange juice or enriched formulations sometimes show larger effects in trials, but regular 100% orange juice provides a good hesperidin dose while also giving potassium and vitamin C. Be aware of sugar. Even 100% orange juice has natural sugar, and large volumes will increase calorie intake and potentially raise blood glucose. If you have diabetes or are on calorie-restricted plans, prefer whole fruit, where fiber slows sugar absorption. Also, orange juice can interact with some medications. Grapefruit is the classic interaction, but other citrus effects exist. So tell your clinician if you plan daily intake and are on medication. Number 6, ginger root juice. Ginger is a sharp, warming root people have used for digestion and aches for centuries. When you turn ginger into a juice or a concentrated drink, you concentrate the compounds that do most of the work: gingerols, sugols, and related molecules that reduce inflammation, improve blood vessel function, and can nudge blood pressure downward. Multiple human trials and analyses show that ginger supplements or concentrated ginger preparations can lower both systolic and diastolic blood pressure in people with high blood pressure if used in sufficient dose and for a sustained period. For example, pooled analyses of trials report that higher daily doses, roughly 3 grams or more of ginger powder or equivalent, taken for several weeks, produced measurable falls in blood pressure compared with control groups. How ginger helps is partly simple chemistry and partly vascular biology. Ginger compounds reduce markers of inflammation and oxidative stress that damage the lining of arteries. They also relax the smooth muscle in small resistance vessels, which lowers the resistance the heart has to pump against. Some lab studies show ginger juice directly causes small arteries to dilate. In people, this translates to lower peripheral resistance and modest blood pressure reductions. Those effects are most consistent when the ginger dose is daily and sustained rather than one-off. If you drink ginger juice every few days, you are less likely to see a reliable change than if you use a regular, measured dose for weeks. Practical use and how to make it. Fresh ginger root makes a strong tasting juice, so most people mix it with milder vegetables or fruit. A simple, effective recipe is 1 to 2 inches of peeled fresh ginger, 1 medium apple to sweeten, half a lemon, and 150 to 250 milliliters of water. Blend and strain if you prefer a smooth drink, or keep the fiber by turning it into a smoothie. If you want a stronger therapeutic dose similar to those used in trials, concentrate ginger into a small daily shot, using about 2 to 4 grams of fresh grated ginger. That's roughly a 1 to 2 inch piece depending on thickness. Start with a smaller amount if you have never used ginger at medicinal doses. The taste and heat can cause stomach upset in some people. Number 7, garlic juice or raw garlic blended drink. Garlic is a classic heart food. It contains allicin and other sulfur compounds that produce measurable benefits on blood pressure, platelet function, and cholesterol. Multiple meta-analyses of randomized trials show that garlic supplements, especially aged garlic extract or standardized garlic formulations, reduce systolic blood pressure by amounts comparable in some studies to first-line medications for mild hypertension. One review found average systolic reductions in the range of several millimeters of mercury to near double digits in some subgroups when garlic extract was used consistently. That kind of blood pressure drop matters for long-term risk. How garlic works goes beyond one pathway. Garlic reduces blood vessel constriction, increases nitric oxide availability in some settings, lowers oxidative stress on lipids, and can reduce platelet stickiness, a factor in clot formation on top of plaques. People who take garlic regularly often show improved cholesterol profiles and lower markers of inflammation, both of which make plaque progression slower and reduce the chance of acute events. In several clinical trials, aged garlic extracts produce consistent blood pressure benefits with good tolerability. Practical preparation. Raw garlic is very strong and can upset the stomach for some people. So many prefer mixing small amounts into juices or smoothies. A common daily therapeutic approach is to crush one fresh garlic clove, let it sit for 10 minutes to activate allicin, then blend it into a vegetable juice, for example, tomato or cucumber based, with herbs and lemon to mask the intensity. If raw garlic is intolerable, aged garlic extract supplements give a standardized dose without the harsh odor and with fewer gastrointestinal effects. For a food-based plan, one crushed clove blended into a daily savory smoothie or mixed into a salad dressing provides a reasonable, tolerable dose for many people. How to expect results. When used consistently, garlic can cause modest to moderate reductions in systolic pressure over weeks to months and improve cholesterol and platelet markers. The strongest evidence is for standardized supplements, but food-based approaches work too if the dose is consistent. Pair garlic with other heart-healthy foods and follow up with your clinician to track effects and safety. Number 8, berry and mixed berry juice, blueberry, blackberry, bilberry blends. Berries pack anthocyanins and other polyphenols that protect the vascular system. Blueberries in particular have been studied for their ability to improve endothelial function, lower arterial stiffness, and reduce oxidative stress on blood lipids. Feeding studies in humans show that daily blueberry intake improves measures of vascular responsiveness and can modestly lower blood pressure and markers associated with atherosclerosis. In one line of research, regular consumption of anthocyanin-rich berries improved flow-mediated dilation, a test of how well arteries widen, and reduced arterial stiffness, both of which are direct measures of better vessel health. Those improvements are the kind of change that limits plaque progression and reduces the chance of cardiovascular events over time. Practical use and recipes. A berry juice or smoothie that blends mixed berries with a bit of water and a small banana or apple for texture is a simple daily option. Use frozen wild or high anthocyanin berries if fresh berries are seasonal. Frozen retain much of their polyphenol content. A practical serving is a cup to a cup and a half, about 150 to 300 grams of berries, blended or juiced daily. If you prefer pure juice, be mindful of fiber loss. Smoothies keep the fiber, which slows sugar absorption and adds satiety. You can rotate berries, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, bilberries, to broaden the range of polyphenols and keep oxalate and sugar loads balanced. How to expect results. With a daily berry smoothie or substantial mixed berry juice, you can expect improvements in endothelial function and small reductions in blood pressure over weeks to months. In studies, the magnitude of change varies, but is consistent enough to recommend berries as a daily food to support artery health. When combined with a low-salt diet, regular activity, and other protective foods, a daily berry drink becomes one of the most pleasant and practical ways to protect arteries and help control blood pressure. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss health tips like these. Share your thoughts or your favorite juice in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you.